Okay. Hello, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Right here, I am Sarah Lynn. I'm the owner of Bettering Youth, and I have with me the wonderful Vic. And today we're going to be chatting to you about our Gothic creative writing course. So I'm going to pass it over to Vic, and she's going to introduce herself to you and just explain to us a little bit about your background in teaching and specifically in the genre of Gothic creative writing.
Okay, so I have been an English teacher for over 10 years. I've taught in real life classrooms and online. I've also been a creative writing teacher at A level. I've been an examiner in that field. And I've taught across key stages. I've taught a number of different age groups, but I always really enjoy teaching key stage 3 Gothic writing and literature. It's one of the areas where the English course gets quite playful and it's just always quite fun. And my big vision for this course is to take texts which might have a little bit of an off-putting reputation, like 19th century texts, and demystify them and just approach it with a sense of fun.
I love that. And I think that's really important when it comes to creative writing is that there's so much pressure, especially if we ask them to do a creative writing piece in a time setting. So finding a way that we can bring back that fun and demystify it and make them a little bit more confident, it's a really important aspect or opportunity for our students. And so why is the 7 and 8 year group like an important year group to be focusing on?
So classically, students go from primary school where there's an emphasis on exploring creative subjects in a cross-curricular, cross-topic manner, where subjects become a little bit more kind of discrete and separated. Some students lose their confidence a little bit in year 7. And English and writing can become a little bit overwhelming. So I kind of want to be able to have that academic ambition of secondary, but combine some of the more fun aspects of primary teaching. And it's also about building foundations for later in their school career. So GCSE content is tough. And we don't want to be doing a course or any sort of teaching where you're watering down GCSE content for year 7s, but you want to be taking little elements of it. So by the time they come to the end of year 9 or year 10, and they're doing texts like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or they're looking at Dickens extracts, or extracts from Wuthering Heights, that actually that's not so intimidating.
I love that. So because we're dealing with some topics that are perhaps a little bit darker, right? Gothic elements are a little bit darker. How can we make sure that this material is still very suitable to the age group that we're teaching?
Completely. And there are ways that I would approach Gothic text. So like Jekyll and Hyde, if I had a room full of year 11s in front of me, and that's not the way that I would approach it for 11, 12, 13-year-olds at all. So it's all age appropriate. So this connects really nicely with the topics that we would be looking at. So these would be stories like The Canterville Ghost, which is actually a comic parody of Gothic literature, and as well as traditional sort of ghost stories like The Body Snatchers by Robert Louis Stevenson, which is frequently taught in schools in year 7 and year 8. And other sort of shorter extracts from, say, the beginning of Frankenstein. We would also be looking at movies such as Coraline.
Love that.
I was really excited when I was watching the second season of Good Omens that they do a very obvious homage to the Body Snatchers story. So I did watch that episode and I did think I've got to get this into a lesson. So here it is. So a little bit of Neil Gaiman, and maybe also towards the end of the course, because we're going from Halloween Samhain season, up to nearly Christmas. I'm hoping to get a little bit of the Nightmare Before Christmas in there as well. And all of these things are things that are Certificate 12 and very much kind of Key Stage 3 friendly.
Amazing. And so when we're talking about all of these really perhaps big texts, how are we going to fit it into a 6-week course? How are we going to make sure that we're kind of picking and choosing elements that allow all of our students to feel like they're able to connect with the content and also make the progress that's necessary?
Well, I always like to include visual and video elements as much as possible in my teaching. And with all of these texts, it's about choosing the right short extract. So this isn't going to be about you working your way through a great big tome, although I'm never opposed to that. Obviously, if you want to
one-to-one, yeah,
absolutely. So I'd never want to limit somebody, but it's about making it accessible. And obviously a lot of students will be accessing this course in the evening when they've been at school all day. And it's definitely going to be very purposeful and about even just looking at a 2-sentence extract or 2-sentence model and then thinking, how can we adopt this into our own 2 or 3 sentences? I'm a big fan also, if we're able to get a group going, of the pass the story model of beginning one place and then taking it in lots of different directions. Obviously, lots of students are very protective of their own work and there would be no pressure to share, but it would be really lovely if that could happen. And I'm a big believer in regular real-time feedback and also formative and summative feedback as the course goes on, of identifying strengths and identifying areas for growth. So it's about building skills that will help them in their assessment, about having the joy and the freedom of being outside of the classroom and being able to respond to the students and being able to match the content to their needs as we go through the course.
Yeah, so a very personalized approach, which is up front, and one of the most important things when we're doing any kind of education is to make sure that we're matching what our instruction is to the students who are in front of us. I love that you touched a little bit, Vic, on the feedback aspect of things. What kind of feedback can parents expect to receive throughout the 6-week course?
Well, I like to always give a, so 2 stars and a wish model of feedback of, by the end of each session, it could be a great big long piece of writing, it could be a really short piece, but the platform I like to use is Google Classroom. So I would sign up all of my students. At the end of each session, they would submit some work and they would receive comments of, you say, you chose a really lovely simile, there's some really good choices in visual imagery. Look back at this sentence to reread because maybe there's been some literacy targets or maybe that you need to rethink the sort of structure and flow of your story. So I like to make sure that that is given in a way that works for the student. So obviously I like to deliver that in real time, but also record it so that students can go back to it and they know what their targets and what their strengths are throughout. I also love within this course to have a culture and an atmosphere of sharing work. So I'd really love to be able to collect together not only written work, but if students are inspired to create things in other formats, like I'd love somebody who feels like they want to create a bit of Gothic illustration. And one activity I have in mind is blackout poetry. So taking a page of text, this pencil spaces allows this to sort of shade out and create kind of beautiful illustrations. Then you kind of isolate, say, even 10 words to create a poem.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'd love to be able to collect those together into one document, which is shared with all the families that participate, so that students can take a real pride in their work.
Yeah, absolutely. So creating almost like a final piece that they can reflect upon, and you might even be able to track their progress or even the confidence in how many risks they're willing to take as the course moves forward. And while we're talking initially about a 6-week course, it could potentially move forward depending on the feedback that we get. So this showcase could really track a student's progress over a longer period in like down the line as well. So I think that's a really beautiful way, because it's not marked, it's not given a structured grade, but it is something that shows their progress throughout. And I think that's a really beautiful reflection of that creative focus that we want to give.
Absolutely. I would really, really love to you return back to this and extend this course, or take something and take it in all different directions. But we have this time slot. As I look out my window right now, it is literally, to use a Gothic cliche, dark and stormy night on the south coast. And it is the time of year where you sort of, it feels like a fitting time to look at this sort of topic. And if people like to keep it short and sweet, that's great. But if there's a way of extending it, that would be amazing. And just really building a sense of confidence and fun. And that's something which I am a big fan of, is as well as looking at how is your writing changing and maturing, also being able to take a snapshot of how confident do I feel talking about this topic now versus 2 weeks ago. And sometimes it's actually, oh, and I have more questions than answers, but that's okay. And being able to sort of sit with uncertainty, and that's a really good skill going through secondary school.
Hugely, and it aligns with Bettering Youth's foundational like pillar topics as well, which are like self-reflection and being able to have that resilience and critical thinking. That all sits in really nicely with that. So if we had to sum up in, let's say, a sentence or two for a parent, so they can say, yes, my child fits this kind of category, what would you be looking for? Who would be your ideal student to join this course?
I would say students who are interested in building their creativity. So whether that's students who are maybe more leaning towards the scientific and they want to build from the ground up, or it's students that really like a bit of amateur filmmaking and visual art and they want to develop that into English, or maybe they're really, really nerdy about English already and they want to be able to flourish and develop that. There's something for everybody there.
I love that. And when you said that logical side, I feel like that is the type of student that we tend to hear about the most, or the students who have these wonderful ideas, but they may not be able to put them on paper, or they're not sure how to extend their ideas anymore. So you're saying that this course will be really helpful to give them multimedia ways that they can feel inspired and imaginative.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited about the group element of it, of being able to sort of learn from multiple models in the virtual room. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. So what is the last little bit of information that our parents need to know? So like, what are the logistics? Where did they register? How much? When is the course?
So the course, the trial session is going to be running on Wednesday, the 25th. I'm just checking, so I'm 100% certain. It begins at 6 p.m. So is 1 hour at a time. So I'm going to be looking to run it on Wednesday evenings moving forward. The cost for that trial session is £10 per head. And that, I believe, is that a special offer that runs until Halloween?
It is, absolutely. So you could keep that trial price as long as you register before October 31st. After 31st, our price goes to the spooky steal of £13 per the hour.
So the 25th is a chance to sort of give it a whirl. And then there are slots for 6 sessions running beyond that, which will take us sort of through November and the beginning of December, give people a chance for the Christmas wind down as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have our link to register in all of our socials attached to this video. And you can also see there's a banner going through at the bottom as well. So you can find it at our website, betteringyouth.co.uk/blog/October courses. And you can find out about this specific course, head over to the stripe attached to this course and register your child for that, and make sure to save that sneaky steal as well. So is there any final comment that you want to leave to our parents then, Vic?
Ooh. I think try this course. It really focuses on the elements that we need to have more of in writing, of the possibility, playfulness, creativity, and I think believing in fairy tales and not being afraid of the weird and the strange.
I love that. Not to be afraid of the weird and the strange. That's perfect. So if you were able to join us live, we're so grateful for you taking your time on this Wednesday evening. If you joined us in the recording, absolutely no problem. If you have questions that we weren't able to answer for you, please know that we will come back. We'll be circling back to this video and checking the comments. So feel free to pop a question in the comment, and Vic and I will be happy to get back to you. So we're really grateful, and we will for sure see you all very soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Bye.